So while everything's at the shops and I don't really have a great deal to work on, well, I got a lot to work on, but everything that I want to work on is at the shops, getting stuff done to it. So until that comes back, I had to redo this bonnet because it had way too many little ripples and little uneven bumps and stuff through this edge, the sides, a couple little indentations here. So I decided today, on this wonderful weather Sunday, which is actually really crap, it's raining outside and it's horrible, I thought I'd actually put some just some filler primer down on the bonnet again. I just paintbrushed it on because most of it's going to get sanded off anyway, and try and get rid of these little tiny imperfections before I respray the bonnet to rematch the GT stripes up there and work out what I'm going to do with them. So I just wasn't going to be happy with the way the bonnet was, the little dents everywhere and bumps. This was in really crap condition when I got it. I'm really happy actually with the way it is now. Like this whole corner was bent out of shape. The middle over here was bent up. There was, yeah, it was like, looked like the surface of Mars or the moon when I received this, so it's come a long way. It's not going to be perfect, and I'm not too fussed about that. I just want to paint it and, you know, looking nice. It's an old car. I'd love a perfect bonnet, but at the same time I don't really care too much about this particular one. But I'm just going to sand it down, try and flatten it out as best I can and get it ready for some new white. Some new white pearl. We'll see how we go, hopefully it turns out okay. So I got myself some 180 grit sandpaper, some water, a little sanding block, that's all I'm going to use. I've got a few of these. It doesn't have to be ultra fine straight away. I'm just going to knock off the thick layers of filler primer. Not too much of course, but just enough. And after that we'll hit it with maybe some 600, maybe 400 or 600. 400 will be fine for the final stage before base coat goes on it. So here we go, see how it turns out. Alright, so now that the main surface has been skimmed off the top with the DA sander, I can now get onto, I'll probably still use 180 grit sandpaper, but I'm going to get into the top and actually just make sure it is all really nice and flat by hand. I don't trust the DA sander to do a perfectly good job. Well, not perfectly, but just, it'll probably cut down too far. So I want to limit what I do with the DA sander. I still have to do all these edges here by hand only, because I don't want the DA sander stuffing that up, because this is the reason I'm doing the whole bonnet again. These little dimples and ripples that run down the edge of this mold. And there was some on the side here, but that looks like it's probably sorted itself out. So by hand I have to do these edges to get as flat as I can. Let's see how we go. Alrighty, so I think it's come out really good. It's very hard to see in this light. I only have 2 fluoros in here, but you know, it's I think it's come out really good. It's a heck of a lot better. You can see here all the high spots that were in the rail previously and the low spots that the filler has actually covered. So right now, that is a lot smoother than what it was before I started doing this. The first time I sprayed the whole car, I thought I'd give it a go and see what the bonnet looked like with the repair work I did, and it was just too wavy and too wobbly and too denty. There are waves in this bonnet, especially in the middle section through here, that I cannot get out without being like a professional panel beater. But they're not that bad. I can kind of feel and move with my hand. There's like a little bit of a low spot around there, like from there to there. I'm not going to remove those. I just wanted to get the little dents out of the way. But the whole front edge has come up a lot better than what it was. The 2 sides are pretty much, I'd say they're almost perfect. They've come up really, really, really well. And the rest of it, the sides here, a couple of little tiny dents have been taken out of that, a few low spots. This corner was all messed up and that's nice and smooth now. So from here, I'm just going to wait till I get my air compressor back. I've loaned it out. I'll probably go over all of this with some 400 grit sandpaper. I don't need to do 600, 400 will be fine before the white base color. Good thing about white is it does hide a lot of little tiny scratches, unlike black. Black shows up everything. So it's kind of cheating using white a little bit, I think. But it's a heck of a lot better. I'm really, really happy with that. And basically, it is nearly Christmas and things are slowing down a lot. Shops are being closed over the Christmas period. My fuel tank is out at a metal fabrication shop getting the flanges welded onto the fuel tank. The radiator is back at Radtech in Burleigh. He's chopping a couple of intake and outlet holes and replacing the positions to make it fit this really well. I'm out of breath because sanding is hard work. It took a while. In fast forward, it wouldn't be too long. Probably very boring, but not too bad. So yeah, like until I get my parts back, yeah, when they're back and then the fuel tank's in, I can actually start running the fuel lines back up into the car and then try and hook them into the engine. I have to put my return line into the fuel tank as well, which I think I did delete 4 little tiny breather holes. I think I'm going to have to install 1 little hole for my return fuel line. We'll work that out later. But as soon as I get my fuel system sorted, then I can get an auto electrician in here to play with the wiring and to try and get this thing all hooked up to my ignition. And once I get the car started and I got fuel, spark, and all that kind of stuff, I can start playing around with the lights and the windscreen wiper pumps and the windscreen wipers and all that other kind of stuff bit by bit. All the interior lighting under the hood liner has to be sorted out. I'll wire in my central locking as well. So really it is just waiting on the fuel tanks to be returned and the radiator to be returned, so then I can get the radiator in there, I can get the intercooler in there, I get the fuel tank in the back, and hopefully in the next few weeks have this thing running. It would be wonderful. Not going to be anytime soon, not the next few weeks, maybe another month or two, but Christmas slows us all down. Well, it's time for paint. Let's get some paint on here, eh? Alright, now I'll give it a quick prep wash or degrease to get any kind of oils off the surface. We're just going to hit it with some paint. Probably do, probably only 2 coats of white is all it'll need, I think. I've got enough paint in there to do 3, but I wouldn't mind getting the front splitter painted as well. It's already been etch primed. I'll just give it a scuff up and see how it comes up. But I've got enough paint to do both, so I'm going to get started. Alright, so there you have it. It's white, and it's a lot flatter than what it was last time. I don't know if the camera can really pick it up, but that edge, this edge here, is really nice and flat now. There's no dimples in it, so I'm pretty happy. So it's about 3 coats of white paint, probably 4 coats where the, what's it called? Where the filler or the primer was at. So that's nice and white. I'm not going to clear coat it yet because I still have to do GT stripes. I have to continue the GT stripes down off the bonnet, off the roof back down onto the bonnet. So there's no point clearing it yet. I'll wait for this to dry completely. I might leave it a day or 2, we'll see. And then I'll get onto the GT stripes and finish that off. I want this white to set real nice. Before I do the black, I'll probably just give it a wipe over with a tack rag. And then get the GT stripes on it, then give it a really good clear coat. And then I might even test my design for GT stripes that I've got in my head. I want to do a real, not fancy, but just something a little bit different than black GT stripes. So I'm going to try that as well on this bonnet. We'll see how I go with it. It's not hard to respray if I stuff it up. But yeah, I'm going to do the front lip at a later date, because if I'm going to be pulling all my spray stuff out again to do, oh, I got hiccups, to do the GT stripes, I may as well wait. But that's white. It's going to sit there. It's going to set. It's come up really good. I'm really happy with it. There's hardly any dents. So my primer filler did its job, which I'm happy about. Until next time. Well, who knows when next time is. I keep saying that every time I put the video down. And then I do something else. Just how it's the nature of the hobby, isn't it? But any hooties, it's white. I'm happy. Oh, by the way. Just for the sake of it, this is my gun that I go to. I love it. It's a DeVilbiss GPI. It is perfect for acrylic. 2-pack as well is fine, but I don't spray 2-pack, so can't comment on that. I also got the flow adjuster down the bottom, so I can do that on the fly. I don't have to go to the air compressor every time I need to adjust my PSI settings. Today's pretty damn humid, so I did struggle at the beginning to get the right flow out. Also, maybe the gun was just a little bit clogged from last time. I'm not too sure, but it sorted itself out. You probably saw in the beginning of the video I was struggling to get the white down. But put my finger over the tip, kind of ran air through the nozzle to blow the air back up through the collection cup, the feed cup, and she's fine, and it spat white everywhere, which is great. But yeah, great gun. I think you can only buy this from the UK online. I don't think there's anyone in Australia that sells this. I was watching the Gunman Raw, or the Gunman's videos. He's an Australian spray painter. And I was looking for a good gun, and he used this a few times, and it had good reviews. He liked it. For acrylic, it's really good. So I gave it a go, and I have been nothing but happy with this. So cheering. I think this one set me back about 300, maybe 350, 400 with the flow adjuster on the bottom. But I'm stoked. I'm loving it. Any hootie, it's white. I'm out. I'm talking too much. Enjoy it.